Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice, and welcome to the very first recap show of the 2024 NFL season for the Buffalo Bills. I did my preview the other day, and of course, the game happened. So, a day later, here, I'm here to recap it, give my initial thoughts and reactions. Some stuff I have structured here, but if I find some free flowing nuggets, then I'll put those in there too. This is just kind of a free flowing conversation. So, feel free to drop down the comments below, whether you're on YouTube or not, to come on over to YouTube if you're not, I should say, rather, to kind of share your thoughts from the game is the best way I can put it. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. That's what we're all here for. The Buffalo Bills beat the Arizona Cardinals 34-28. This game was way more stressful than it should have been. It came down to the wire for no reason at all. I mean, I said in my preview the other day that the Cardinals could be a sneaky team, but I didn't think it would be by this much sneaky. So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. But again, Bills beat the Cardinals 34-28, so they are 1-0 in the season to open the year. Something new them implementing this year. I started this in my preseason recaps a few weeks ago in all 3 games. One word that I have to describe each game for the Buffalo Bills and what we just witnessed and what we all just watched, whether it's a win or loss. One overarching word. And the word I have to describe this game is an adventure. It was a mix of emotions. They started terrible in the first half. The second half, they got it together. Fourth quarter, they looked kind of shaky. But then they clutched up from down 17-3 and come back. It was just all in all, at large, an adventure. That's the word I use to describe it that I'm implementing this year. Now, here are the Bills in active pregame. They had 7 of them. 5 of them are true healthy scratches, and then the last 2 were true injuries. So safety, Cole Bishop, he was a quote-unquote healthy scratch. The reason I say quote-unquote healthy scratch is because he was injured all of training camp, pretty much. He was injured all of preseason with a pretty nasty shoulder. And, well, not nasty, but he's back now. And he's only had a few full practices under his belt. I thought, if he was going to be active this game, he could be that third dime safety in terms of certain situations when Dorian Williams goes off the field because of his severe coverage limitations. But we'll get to the dime stuff later on. So he was a healthy scratch. It makes sense. I thought maybe Mike Edwards would be a healthy scratch instead, but they are leaning into the experience of Mike Edwards, I guess. Linebackers, Joe Andreessen and Eddie Ulofoshio. This really surprised me. I thought only one of them was going to be a healthy scratch. I predicted it would be Balin Spector, actually, but apparently they love Balin Spector for whatever reason. He's healthy for once. But only going with 4 healthy linebackers was kind of risky. Dorian Williams and Terrell Bernard stood starters. Well, not Dorian Williams, but Terrell Bernard, superstar starter, upper echelon starting linebacker in the league, obviously. And then your 2 backups, Nicholas Moore and Balin Spector. Nicholas Moore can play both weak side and middle, and Balin Spector's just strictly a middle linebacker. And I guess they like Balin Spector for whatever reason for that special teams contribution and ability. I don't agree with it, but they do, as you know. So Buffalo Joe Andreessen, and Eddie Ulofoshio were inactive. I can't see this happening multiple times this year where they only go with 4 healthy linebackers, but especially Dorian Williams covers limitations. So, and then defense, a couple of defense linemen, defensive end Javon Solomon, he had an oblique injury pop up earlier this week, out. Defensive end Dwayne Smoot, he had a last-minute toe injury pop up, and it's kind of concerning because it popped up last minute. So does he even play against the Dolphins this Thursday? And does Javon Solomon even play 3 days from now, for that matter? Very, very quick turnaround for this podcast and otherwise. So those 2 were truly injured. And then center Cedric Van Pran Granger, I kind of knew once they, even if they didn't elevate Will Clapp, but once they knew elevated Will Clapp, he could do the same things Van Pran Granger does. Center and guard play, just much more experience from the practice squad. He was going to be inactive. And then this really surprised me. Probably the surprise of the day for me personally. Maybe Cole Bishop, but he's a rookie. So tackle Ryan Vandermark. They gave Kylan Grable the active nod over him. I'm really shocked by this, honestly, to go to that extent, because I don't really understand. Ryan Vandermark is a 3rd-year player. He was on the practice squad. Same with Alec Anderson for 1 year. But Alec Anderson wasn't going to be a healthy scratch because he looks to be this team's jumbo tight end. They love it. It's been Bobby Hart, Tommy Doyle, most recently last year in 2023 season. Last year in 2023, it was David Edwards. So Alec Anderson is going to be that jumbo tight end, get a handful of snaps there to be that 6th offensive lineman, or like I just said, that jumbo tight end. So that means he'll never be inactive. So it'll come down to, I guess, Ryan Vandermark and Tylen Grable. And I think they went with Tylen Grable. I could be wrong, but I think they went with Tylen Grable because he can play both left and right tackle. And Ryan Vandermark, I've seen him play right tackle in preseason. It's kind of a disaster. So Tylen Grable can play both left and right tackle. Good enough. Decent enough, I should say, rather. And then Ryan Vandermark is strictly only a left tackle. So I think that's why they went with Tylen Grable. But this really shocked me, guys. Like, I didn't know Tylen Grable would push Ryan Vandermark that much. I guess it's not a huge deal, but I was pretty shocked. In-game injuries. Unfortunately, we have 2 massive ones. They're both in magnitude, concern up here. Corner Taron Johnson suffered a forearm injury, did not return. Now, I guess if you want to look on the positive side, like the glass half full saying, if you want to look on the positive side of things, like he exited with the forearm injury, only a drive or two, and I can't remember. I think it was during the second defensive drive there. Yeah, it was the forearm injury, but it was encouraging that it took them so long to rule him out. He was questionable the whole first half, and then at halftime, they finally ruled him out with the forearm injury. I'm going to say this now. It's unfortunate, but I highly doubt, I'm 90% sure he's not going to play against the Dolphins, and I'm there's a 10% chance he plays, a very tiny percent chance, however you want to look at it, because it's 4 days from the game yesterday, 3 days from now as of this recording. Today's Monday. They play the Dolphins Thursday night. I don't think he'll play, unfortunately. So that means we'll have some other corners and safeties step up. But I guess it is encouraging, like I just said, that they took the whole first half to rule him out and get x-rays and whatnot with a forearm injury. But hopefully it's not a broken arm, because that could be like an IR designation. He's out for the minimal required 4 games that requires, if not more. So, but quarterback Josh Allen, the team themselves never really reported on this, whether they give updates on the Buffalo Bills PR account on Twitter or just the Bills account on Twitter in general with game updates. They never really reported on this, but you could tell it in game. The whole fourth quarter, Josh Allen played through. It looked like a pretty severe hand injury. Where I think it was wrist and hand. I really, really hope he doesn't have a broken hand. I'm kind of ruling out the broken hand thing, because if he had a broken hand, there's no way in hell he would be able to come back. You wouldn't be able to hand the ball off. You wouldn't be able to move your hand. I know he's right-handed, but you need your left hand. If the running back's going to the right, you need your left hand to hand the ball off, and vice versa with the opposite hand. And you use both hands to get the snap from Connor McGovern. So if he was able to do that, I doubt it's a broken hand. Maybe it's just really, really bruised. Maybe there's some sprained ligaments, however that is. I doubt that too, but we'll have to see. If I have to watch Mitchell Trubisky for a single snap Thursday, to put it bluntly, I'm going to throw up. I'm going to be sick. You know how I feel about Mitchell Trubisky. It's a miracle he was even healthy. Obviously, if Josh can't go Thursday night, we're going to get blown out. I'm sorry. With defensive injuries, Matt Milano, Taron Johnson, and then I'm going to be sick and throw up. I will throw up if I have to watch Mitchell Trubisky. Honestly, start Mike White from the practice squad. Give him a chance over Mitchell Trubisky. I think Josh Allen will push through and play, but he had a pretty huge, severe rep. It wasn't a huge club or anything, one of those that college players have. You don't see much in the NFL, but the college football injuries, I saw a couple times this past weekend in college football. But that's besides the point. I'm just comparing here. If he was able to play, if he had a broken hand, he wouldn't be able to play. So that's encouraging somewhat for Thursday night. Maybe they do lean into the run game even more, though, Thursday night, to keep the Dolphins' high-powered, speedy, fire-powered offense off the field, and just to limit Josh's, snaps under center. And then another thing I'm thinking, does Josh go in shotgun more, rather under center, literally attached to the center, Connor McGovern, because he won't be able to get the snap cleanly because of the hand thing? So I know it's not a throwing hand, but left-handed is, you have to receive the snap cleanly from their center, which in this case is obviously Connor McGovern. So maybe they do lean into the run game more and lean into shotgun snaps for Josh Allen, which honestly, I like him being shotgun. So he's really good at it. And then, this is my favorite part of the episode. So we have 2 major injuries. Bottom line is, I think Josh Allen will push through and play. They're just going to maybe, lean into the run game more and lean in shotgun snaps for him. And then Taron Johnson, I highly doubt he plays. Like percentage, 90% he doesn't play. 10% pretty tiny chance he does play. Stock reports. Stock up. Who really improved their stock? Who really stood out? Mixed. They did some good things, but also did some bad things. And then stock down a few players. There may be some situational things that just didn't do anything or disappointed me heavily. Stock up, QB Josh Allen. This was so refreshing because he's been pretty up and down. And recently it's been more down in week one for past years, I should say, rather. Excuse me. In 2021 against the Steelers, I never understood how they lost that game. It was a mess. The Steelers got blocked punt. Special teams, Josh Allen played stupid. I don't know. He tends to have these things in week one where he just goes out there and has a clunker. Week one in 2022, 2 years ago against the Rams, he was on fire. And then last year, we know what happened. 3 interceptions. Week one against the Jets. 3 that they end up losing and a kick return touchdown by Xavier Gibson. What a nightmare. 3 interceptions, 1 fumble, 4 total turnovers for Josh Allen. But I thought he was electric in this game. Like, imagine calling that dude overrated. Couldn't be me. Like, imagine calling Josh Allen overrated. How dumb of a take or a statement, whatever you want to call it. Get it, like, whether it's executives, players, media. Like, just imagine. Just any other quarterback go into literally airplane mode and twice actually shove a defender, like put his shoulder down and shove his way into the end zone, and then go in airplane mode and be a jet plane in the air and kind of like barrel into the end zone in the air. I like imagine calling that dude overrated. Couldn't be me. I will say though, the fumble was totally his fault, and then he cleaned it. He more than made up for it. But I'm going to be honest about Josh Allen. I know Bills fans don't say, if you say anything bad about Josh Allen, you're a hater. No, I love Josh Allen. Josh Allen, like, has changed my life for the better in terms of this podcast, in terms of my fandom, in terms of my favorite player of all time. Literally anything with the Bills, anything football related, he's changed my life for the better. But, like, his pocket awareness in that was horrible. The offensive line held up for like 5 seconds. He held the ball forever. Horrible pocket awareness because there was no pressure in his face at all. Throw the ball to Curtis Samuel for an easy, it's like a 12-yard first down, or just throw the freaking ball away. And then he ends up running into his own alignment and taking a sack. Like, you can't hold the ball on. That's can be chalked up to horrible pocket awareness by Josh Allen. But after that, dude silenced the doubters. He was 18 final stats. I provide stats for all these, by the way. 18 of 23, 78% completion percentage, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then on the ground, obviously, 9 rushes, 39 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Those rushing touchdowns were like highlight reel rushing touchdowns. The first one, he just, from the 5-yard line, kind of shoved his shoulder in, put his shoulder down, and like bite down the mouthpiece and go. And then the second one, like I said, it was a jet plane in the air. Kind of like contorted his body in the air like a jet plane, and then like that's a leap. Like, how can you even do that? Like, Dawson Knox, the still image of him like literally jaw dropping, like, what the what just happened? Like, man, it's so that guy get you fired up. And I was on my couch chair, whatever, I was freaking fired up after that. Whew, I can't believe the guy over it. But anyway, I don't know. That's offensive player, AFC offensive player of the week. Not caliber, because like he didn't have like 300 plus yards passing, but he spread the ball around to multiple different receivers. We'll get to Joe Brady later on, but next stack up, running back James Cook, 19 carries, 71 yards, 3 catches, 32 yards. For all the talk of like James Cook has his pitfalls, there's some holes in his game. He's a very electric runner, but he has some pitfalls. He has some holes in his game, and people are even saying like by the end of the year, as soon as like mid-year, in a month or two, like, will it be 1A, 1B situation with James Cook and Ray Davis pretty much splitting the carries 50-50 or maybe a 60-40 split or damn near close to it. I never really bought into that, but James Cook like staved off Ray Davis and Ty Johnson, whatever, but mainly Ray Davis. Like, he heard all his critics, so he kind of silenced them, if you will. He had 19 carries, again, getting the workhorse treatment, 71 yards, 3 catches and 32 yards. At the beginning of the season last year, I don't think the Bills used him enough. But then I love when James Cook gets the workhorse treatment. I love when he gets like 15 to 20 carries on the ground and then like 3 to 5 more, like, what am I trying to say? 3 to 5 more, like catches basically, and screens, just sweeps. He doesn't really do just sweeps. That's more Curtis Samuel, but you get the point. I want him to have 20 to 25 carries a game, and then 15 to 20 of those rushes and throwing a few targets there, and he's very sure-handed. But I still saw like an ounce of like that twinkle toe thing where when he goes in the backfield, like this is what Ray Davis is great at, and James Cook is not, unfortunately. Like pass protection is still not there, but then he still has twinkle toes in the backfield where when he gets the ball, like on a handoff mainly, he kind of like dances around, like shimmies around the backfield. Like when you get the ball, you need to go. He kind of struggles with ball carrier vision sometimes, and he struggles mightily a lot of the times. Only sometimes yesterday, but mainly a lot of the times in the season as a whole last year with like running with conviction. That's the best way I describe it. He kind of lacks running with conviction sometimes. I just wish he would just like go instead of like dancing around the backfield and like wasting time. So that's just my thing. And then running back Ray Davis, again, I'm surprised like how little work he got. But like for all the talk, James Cook staved him off. Ray Davis, though, 3 carries, 13 yards, 1 catch for 14 yards. Like Ray Davis really good in pass protection. I wish he got more snaps. He only got 7 snaps total, like equated out to 10% of the snaps on offensive snaps on what am I trying to say? 10% of the offensive snaps. There we go. I got it right. But I thought Ray Davis had a big role, but only the 4 touches total. I thought he had some nice juice. I think he has some underrated athleticism as well. So, and then wide receiver Keon Coleman, 4 catches for 51 yards. He led the Bills in targets with 5. He caught 4 of them. Catching 4 of the 5 targets. In yards, 51. Like that sideline one, unfortunately, it wasn't a touchdown, but that sideline one, like when he went out of bounds at the 5-yard line, when Josh kind of heaved it to him for 28 yards, like his body control is elite. Like his catching, like his body control is elite. His acumen at the catch point is elite. The only thing he struggles with is separation on routes, and his route running can be inconsistent. Other than that, like he's elite at everything else. So he's a big body target, and no wonder he led the Bills in targets, receptions, and yards. I'll get to his stat counts at the end with some other players. And then wide receiver Khalil Shakir, 3 catches, 42 yards, 1 touchdown. Like he has some really underrated athleticism to him, and he is elite hands. But more so, what I was gonna say, he is elite after the catch. Like the way he can contort his body after the catch and just his contact balance. He's like has amazing ball carrier vision. He's like a running back at the hands of the ball. No, he's not as fast as James Cook, not as fast as Curtis Samuel, not as fast as some other receivers, not as athletic as Keon Coleman, or not nearly as big. Like 3 or 4 inches shorter, actually. But like he has his juice and athleticism is underrated. Like he ran a 4.47 40 coming out of Boise State, like in the 2022 draft as a 5th-round pick at the combine. Like don't underrate it. Like he's like a certified dog. Like those pictures like with the X-rays like on Twitter or just to like to be funny and poke fun. Like cue the picture with the dog in the X-ray, whatever you want to call it. Like cue that. Like that's Khalil Shakir. I really, I'll get to this, my big picture thoughts at the end, some final questions, takes, and observations I have from this game, like some big picture stuff going forward. But I love Khalil Shakir and extend to this offense. I think I think behind Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir will have the most I don't know if as many receptions as Curtis Samuel, because Curtis Samuel is like get the ball too easy and let him work like juice after the catch. But like I think he can have the most yards with less receptions. Like his yards per catch is amazing, and like he's working with Eric Moulds the last 2 off seasons respectively, and like holy crap, has that paid off? I think I compare to Khalil Shakir to Cole Beasley and Robert Woods with just 2 former Bills, 2 great former Bills, obviously. Khalil Shakir to Robert Woods and Cole Beasley, just with way more juice. Cole Beasley, slot only guy. Robert Woods, slot only guy. You knew what they were. They weren't giving you any yards after catch. Khalil Shakir line up in the slot and on the outside. Obviously, he's great in the slot and does his best work in the slot, but don't underrate his juice in the outside. So Khalil Shakir is a more athletic Robert Woods and Cole Beasley to me. Like that slot demon for the Bills that they have wanted. But they have a lot of slot guys like Ken Coleman, big slot. Curtis Samuel, slot and gadget player, but plus more. Dalton Kincaid, big slot, tight end. Khalil Shakir does his best work in the slot. The only true outside guys, I guess, are Keane Coleman, kind of, but then Matt Collins doesn't really line up in both. But Khalil Shakir, to me, is a way more athletic Cole Beasley and Robert Woods. Hopefully you get the comparison. I think it's a pretty good comparison. Sorry, I was just checking something. Next here on our stack up, I'm glad, happily, there's a lot here to go over. Wide receiver Mac Hollins, only 2 catches, but off of that 25 yards and a touchdown. It seemed to me that the true X receivers, if you will, on this team, so not in the slot, not gadget guys, not in the backfield, like the true X receivers. You have one guy in the outside, one guy in the slot, one guy in the other outside, in the left and right, respectively. I think Mac Hollins and Keon Coleman are kind of splitting. Maybe Keon Coleman gets a little bit more, but at least for these first 2 or 3 weeks, I think Keon Coleman and Mac Hollins will be splitting the outside X receiver reps. Because neither of them really line up in the slot. I mean, I guess if you want to throw Keon Coleman in there as a big slot, but like his best work is a true X receiver on the outside. And like those two showed up in a big way. And Mac Hollins with only his 11th career receiving touchdown and touchdown, 11th career touchdown. And Mac Hollins made a really nice tackle on special teams as well. And no wonder he was a special teams captain all 4 years at UNC, all 4 years at North Carolina there when he played with Mitchell Trubisky, funny enough. But yeah, I mean, he's a great gunner, so I really love Mac Hollins and Keon Coleman, how they'll split the first 2 or 3 reps. And Keon Coleman plays very similar to Mac Hollins. Obviously, there's not much ceiling with Mac Hollins. You know what you're going to get. I don't know how much the floor is either. But Keon Coleman, very similar play style. I just think Keon Coleman's way more athletic and has more juice. But Mac Hollins is getting more opportunities than others thought. I thought he would get a lot of opportunities, at least moderate opportunities, but I don't think others did. So next, safety, the defense side of the ball. Safety Cam Lewis, 10 tackles. Cam Lewis adjusting on the fly. He admitted post-game. He said he was slated to be the third dime safety. You know how this works. Last year on third down, when Matt Milano went down, unfortunately, in London in week 5, what a disaster of a game. I'll never live that down. I mean, maybe that's not the right wording, but you know what I mean. Tyrell Dotson sucks in coverage, so to put it mildly, pretty limited in coverage, so they would take him off the field and put in a third safety when they go to dime looks and dime sets, and Taylor Rapp and Buzz Jordan Poyer down the linebacker are more necessity than anything, but still, they love the dime packages. They really had to change the way they play defense because Cam Lewis said he was slated to be that third dime safety, but then once Taron Johnson got injured, Cam Lewis, as his direct backup, had to play full-time slot corner. He got 90% of the defensive snaps, and freaking Jamarcus Ingram coming in, he had to play that third dime safety. He has never taken a rep of safety. Slot corner, okay. Outside corner, okay. But safety, even if it is just a handful of snaps, is a third dime safety? What the hell? And he played very well, but we'll get to him later. But Cam Lewis, 10 tackles. I really, really liked him. And then he's still a huge contributor on special teams, obviously. Next, handful of D linemen here. Defensive end, Greg Rousseau. Listen to the stat line. The dude is a maniac. He just combines speed, bend, power, athleticism so well. There's some pass rushers. I was watching Jared Verse last night for the Rams. Great game, by the way, on Sunday Football Week 1. I think Lions won 27-20. I was watching Jared Verse, though, with the Rams. Obviously, high-profile pass rusher of Florida State. He doesn't have a bend and twitch to him. And he's athletic, but his game is built on power. He can reduce inside a lot. But Greg Rousseau has power, but he has much, much more. He's much more athletic than Jared Verse. That's just a simple comparison. I'm not comparing the two players. Obviously, Greg Rousseau is much better than Jared Verse, but you get the point, hopefully. But Greg Rousseau, 6 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 2 QB hits, and also a forced fumble. And these sacks were on second down, third down to force a punt. These were crucial sacks. These were drive-ending sacks. So that's Greg Rousseau. And then his running mate, if you will, defensive end Von Miller, had 2 tackles, 1 sack, 1 TFL, 1 QB hit in total. This is the Von Miller we've been looking for. And he played 48% of defensive snaps. Honestly, that's a bit higher than I thought. I thought he would only play 35, maybe 40%. But, they're throwing him back out there. But, it seemed to me he was only, there on second and long, third and long, if they went for it on fourth down. He's best at this point of his career. He's 35 years old, going on 36 next year, where he can, I think in January he turns 36, where he can tee off, it doesn't matter, where he can tee off against the QB on long and late downs. You don't need Von Miller out there on 1st and 10 on obvious running situations. Why does Von Miller need to be out there to run stuff? Put Greg Rousseau out there, who's an elite run stuffer. Ed Oliver, who we'll talk about him later. Yikes in this game. But Von Miller doesn't need to be out there. Get the Leonard Floyd treatment last year. Lowest snap rate, percent of snaps in his career, but then he had the most sacks of his career. Like, have Von Miller do that. But Von's finally back. I'm so happy for him. I've been on record saying if he doesn't get at least 8+ sacks this season, he'll probably be designated post-June first cut. But like, now I'm kind of rethinking that. So I love how they're using Von, just like I wanted and everyone wanted, hopefully, as a situational pass rusher. That's what he's best suited at this point of his career, with multiple major knee injuries in his career. Defense on KC2, 2 tackles. I wasn't impressed with him on defense at all. He was pretty yikes in defense, but like 2 incredible special teams hits, like, and they were both inside the 20-yard line. I think one was at like the 15 and one was at like the 18. Regardless where it was, though, I can't exactly remember. It matters, but sorry, I can't remember. I think that's ballparking it. And really nice sticks on defense. I think that's why they kept him over Kingsley Jonathan. They played him on special teams more than Cameron Klein, who's elevated from the practice squad. KC2 Hill, you never want to see him on defense. He's never a preferred defensive player, not even like a 4th rotational pass rusher. But like, he's an elite special teamer at this point of his career, and his motor is just never ending. So defense on AJ Epinesa, 1 tackle and 1 QB hit. They didn't credit him with the pass deflection. But like, he's gotten his paws up there. Like, he's tall and lengthy. I've said this about AJ Epinesa before. I don't think he's a full-time second pass rusher, and I don't think he's a full-time starter in this league. But like, if he rotates with Von Miller, which like he did a bunch yesterday, he played like 62% of snaps, and like Von Miller played 48% of snaps. Greg Rousseau played 79%. I want them to get to 80, 85 plus. Even for Greg Rousseau, like, he never leaves the field because he's elite at run stuffing, pass rusher, forced fumbles, literally everything. But AJ Epinesa has become a master at deflecting passes at the line. He did it yesterday. He did it multiple times last year against the Commanders. He put that huge bear paw up and just yoink. He just literally yoinked out of the air. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. He just kind of plucked it out of the air. So he's become a master at that. And him rotating with Von Miller, they make each other better. Von Miller's a mentor, situational pass rusher, and AJ Epinesa, not a full-time starter, prefer in this league. But I was worried that we were going to overpay him last year, but thank God he's back from that. So he can, like, you have some tall dudes in the defensive line. Like Von Miller, okay, he's not going to be on there at the early downs, we've already discussed, but Greg Rousseau, lengthy and athletic. AJ Epinesa, same deal. Ed Oliver hopefully can bounce back. Less defensive lineman. Defensive tackle, Daquan Jones. 1 tackle, 1 pass deflection, 1 QB hit. I don't remember the QB hit. Must have been at the end of the game. He didn't get much pressure, but he also can bat down. So if you have Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinesa, Daquan Jones, Sophie Ed Oliver bounces back, that can all deflect passes at the line, like maybe deflect them in interceptions, which we did multiple times last year. Get there. If you can't like get to the quarterback, what do? Get those big pass rush bear paws up. So, as they say. Safety, some secondary players. Safety, Taylor Rapp, 5 tackles, 1 pass deflection. He was still kind of shaky in coverage, which I've always known for Taylor Rapp. Like he's best near the line of scrimmage, or he can just be kind of a downhill hammer. Like, other than DeMar Hamlin and Mike Edwards, I guess, like, their whole safety room is kind of a downhill hammer, whether it's Taylor Rapp, whether it's Mike Edwards, whether it's Cam Lewis. All of them are kind of spotty in coverage, and all of them kind of play the same style, so it's kind of repetitive, but I guess it's okay. Safety, DeMar Hamlin, 4 tackles. The story alone is great, but, like, I don't want to, like, toot my own horn here or, like, brag forever, but, like, I've been saying since May, June, July, August, freaking 4 months ago, pretty much since the draft ended in late April, since early May, that like he would be the second starting safety opposite Taylor Rapp. Cole Bishop is not even close. Healthy, scratch, inactive, whatever you call it. Mike Edwards, always been a 3rd safety in his career. Cam Lewis, apparently he'll have to play slot corner now. Jamarcus are going as a 3rd dime safety. Like DeMar Hamlin, like, I don't want to brag, but like I kind of called it for months here. You can go back and check the tape. Cornerback Christian Benford, 3 tackles, and then cornerback Rasul Douglas, 2 tackles. They were, per PFF, they were only targeted a combined 4 times in the night. Like freaking Marvin Harrison Jr., by the way, sinking my fantasy teams. What the hell, Marv? But I guess I'll take it because it's my Bills, but way to go. He only had 1 catch for 4 yards, and they barely even targeted him. Kyler Murray barely even targeted him. Rasul Douglas, Christian Benford did an amazing job bracketing him with just 1-on-1 coverage. And then cornerback Jamarcus Ingram, who he was really a 3rd dime safety in this game. We already discussed 2 tackles, 1 pass deflection. He is so physical. And don't write in the comments about the I was about to swear. What? I gotta watch it. Don't write in the comments about the stupid freaking penalty. Like, that was dumb, okay? It's the first quarter of the game. They only scored a touchdown and went up 7-0 because of the ref. The ref scored that touchdown, not the Cardinals. I don't care what people say. Oh, it's just Bills fans complaining, blah, 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 blah. At least you won. Stop complaining. Jamarcus Ingram was chasing down Kyler Murray. He was going to hit him helmet to helmet probably, but then he let up and leaped over him. You're taught to let up at the last second. What else can Jamarcus Ingram do? He's a physical corner for a reason, but he wasn't even physical. Like, and then they call roughing the passer, 15 yards, first down, then they score a couple plays later. It was just a BS call, crap call. Like, it was horrendous. It's the worst call I've seen in a very, very long time. And I saw some horrible calls last year in Bills games, but like, it was even worse than that. Like, it's the worst call I've seen in quite a few years. So, watching a Bills game or the league as a whole, really, other way. Kick returner Brandon Codrington. What? This guy's been in the team since cutdown days. A UDFA out of NC Central, but he had a bang-up preseason, amazing preseason with the Jets as a kick and punt returner. He does both at a very high level, but he had one kick return for 53 yards. He almost sprung it if he would have gotten a few extra blocks there. I wish he did, honestly. But that's good. And then kicker Tyler Bass, who was 2 of 2 on field goals. Now, the field goal kicker Tyler Bass was good, but the kickoff guy, Tyler Bass, very shaky. At the end, he kicked out of bounds at the 1-yard line, and the Cardinals got it on the very last drive at the 40-yard line. We can't be having that. It's basically the equivalent of kicking it short of the landing zone, but instead you kick out of bounds. Basically the same thing at the 40-yard line. So can't be having that, Tyler Bass. But offensive coordinator Joe Brady, I love spreading the ball around to multiple guys. Khalil Shakir got involved. Curtis Samuel got involved. Keaton Coleman got involved in a big way. Matt Collins caught a touchdown. Like, everyone's going to compare the Stephon Diggs thing to the Bills. Bills should have kept him, blah, 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 especially because Stephon Diggs had 2 receiving touchdowns yesterday for the Texans from C.J. Stroud to beat the Colts in a close game. I think they won like 29-26 or something like that. I don't really care, but this offense just feels more free-flowing, if that makes sense. Like, it feels more free that Josh can, like, spread around to multiple different guys. Like, there were only, like, 2 guys, I'm serious, that had, like, more than one catch. 2 or 3 guys that had multiple catches on the day. Everyone got involved, and I love the free-flowing nature of it. So, offensive coordinator Joe Brady, props to him. His first half play calling was kind of Like, Josh Allen literally had 5 pass attempts in the first half. He finished with, let me go back up here. He finished with 23 pass attempts. That's pretty absurdly low too. But like 18 of those, came in the second half. Like, he had 5 pass attempts in the first half of the game. But like, props to Joe Brady. He got everyone involved. Free flowing nature. I love it. And then linebacker Dorian Williams. This is the first mixed player. 8 tackles and 1 fumble recovery. He has pretty severe limitations in coverage, and the Bills agree because the thing where they had to put Cam Lewis the slot corner and they had to take him off the field and long and late downs on 3rd down like Tyrell Dodson last year and put in Jamarcus Ingram as the 3rd dime safety as a hybrid pseudo like buzz down at linebacker, I guess. That's going to continue all season long, whether it is continues to be Jamarcus Ingram or maybe Cole Bishop when he gets fully healthy does that. I don't envision Mike Edwards ever doing that. He's more of a center fielder type safety, and you know my thoughts on him. Not very fond of him anyway. But yeah, Dorian Williams, he still has that coverage limitations, but people say fumble recoveries don't matter. It's just a bounce of the ball. Well, you have to have the sense to know like where the ball is and fall on it. So Dorian Williams had a fumble recovery, good for that. Splashy play. Greg was so forced that obviously. And then the run defense was kind of leaky. Like, I think this is more of a game, looking back at it, more of a game plan thing than anything. Like, in the first half, they pounded the ball with James Conner. Kyler Murray escaped a handful of times that got me really boiling and frustrated more than anything. But James Conner, in the end, I think he finished with like 10 carries, which I think he should have had like 15 to 20 carries because they were pounding the rock a whole freaking lot in the first half. And then Trey Benson, I thought, should have been in the mix more too. But hopefully you get the point of like that was their game plan, bread and butter, and I knew that coming in. So it was more situational than anything. Second half, though, they very much limited. But first half run defense was pretty shaky and leaky. It's been for the past handful of years, and it really annoys me. Stack down. Maybe this isn't a fault of his own, but tight end Dalton Kincaid only had 1 catch for 11 yards. He had 2 targets, but 1 catch for 11 yards. I don't anticipate this like minimal production continuing because Joe Brady's going to get everyone involved, but maybe it's just like a week one anomaly. Week one's always here. Defensive tackle Ed Oliver literally didn't record a single stat. Not a tackle, not nothing. Or not nothing. Proper English. Not a tackle, like nothing. He didn't do anything. I last year, I'm not ready to call him a star defensive tackle, okay? Because I want to see one more year. I think that's the peak of Ed Oliver. I don't think there's much more improvement, but if he can just continue that year in and year out, then I'll call him a star tackle. I don't know if we'll ever get to that superstar status, superstar level, like Jeffrey Simmons of the Titans, Dexter Lawrence, Chris Jones, Quinn Williams of the Jets, who we'll see tonight against the 49ers. Jets, great game, by the way. I have 49ers, but besides the point, yeah, I don't think he'll ever get to that status, but like he disappears in playoff games. He disappears in week one games a lot, especially this. Like he didn't record a single stat. Like you got to bounce back. Thank God for Daquan Jones, AJ Epinesa, Von Miller getting a sack, and Gregor So getting 3 sacks. Like Ed Oliver, no run stops, no nothing. Special teams coordinator Matthew Smiley. I'm not talking about Tyler Bass and Sam Martin. I'm talking about kick and punt return coverage, and that's mainly what I'm talking about. Like they let DJ Dallas, who's not this very fast or dynamic or athletic returner. He looked kind of overweight, actually. I'm not here to judge, but like he didn't look that extremely in shape for a kick returner, and he didn't look that athletic. But like this new dynamic kickoff rule, like it's kind of stupid. You're gonna see every freaking touchback in the world now. I don't know whose fault it was. Like Reggie Gillen said after the game, in past years, like before this year, with the old rules, obviously, like you would have to sit there and diagnose before you shed your blacks and think about it. Now you just like have to beat your guy and freaking go. He said, like you can't just sit there and like twiddle your thumbs and think about it. Matthew Smiley though, he always has to make it tough. Whether it was Tyler Bass struggling last year, Sam Martin being a replacement level punter last year. His kick and punt garbage units being bottom 10 in the NFL after being top 5 under Heath Farwell in years past. Like, this is not good. And then penalties, I didn't look, but like they had 10 penalties for a bunch of yards, damn near 100 yards, I think it was. Like, they can't be having that. Like, these are avoidable. Like, Osiris Torrance had 2 penalties. I thought he had an awful game. Like, the first one was a face mask. The second one was a false start holding. I can't remember. But the first one, like, let go. If you just put your hands on and let go, they wouldn't have noticed it. They even, Ross Tucker and the guys, and Jay Feely, and forget the third one, even said it on the CBS broadcast. Like, if he had just let go after a second or two, it would have been called, but he kept going and grabbing his face mask to the ground. Like, let go, Cybo. Like, let go of Serge Torrance. And then Spencer Brown had a couple. Deion Dawkins had a couple. Like, these were avoidable penalties. Like, the one big penalty on defense was a total phantom call, BS call. Jamarcus Ingram, Kyler Murray. I've already vented about that one earlier in the episode, this episode. But yeah. Next, Big Slice of the Game Award. My player of the game. This is the player that was a big slice. Obviously, around the slice, big slice. Yeah, funny, whatever. Defensive end Greg Rousseau. I mean, I explained the stat line. 3 stacks sticks out. Like, this guy, and I'm not going to say Josh Allen. Like, that's too boring. Every week, I'm going to find someone other than Josh Allen. Like, yes, you can give Josh Allen big slice of the game damn near every week, if not every single week. Put the cape on his back. But defensive Greg Rousseau, what a monster. He had 79% of the defensive snaps. I want to see him 80, 85% around there. Burnt slice of the game award. Most disappointing player. I considered Ed Oliver. Actually, I have none written down here. I'm going to change this real quick. I'm giving it to Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver, donkeyed, 1 catch for 11 yards on 2 targets. Not really his fault. Wasn't targeted. Ed Oliver didn't record a single stat. Like, you're getting burnt slice of the game award. Like, last minute decision. Sorry. Reflecting on my 5 game predictions from preview. So, obviously, these were underdog fantasy props for 4 of them, and the 5th one was kind of like a generalized statement thing. James Cook, over 62.5 rushing yards prop. That happened. He had 71. Dawson Knox, over 0.5 touchdowns. That didn't happen. He only had 1 catch for 23 yards. So we're 1 of 2 so far. It'll be nice to track this the whole year like last year, and I can add it up at that. James Conner, over 0.5 touchdowns. That happened in literally the first drive of the game. After that BS call. Trey McBride, over 49.5 receiving yards. Didn't happen. So 1 of 1, 1 of 2. And then that Von Miller, and then this is the general statement. Von Miller gets a sack and Kyler Murray. This was bold because I saw Von Miller play last year, but like as a situational pass rusher, I think he could be close to his old self. That happened. So 3 of 5 on predictions, and then the last one isn't a prediction. I predicted the Bills would win the game 30-20, and that won 34-28. So it was not really close to my prediction, but still, I thought they would win by 10, 30-20. They won by 6, 34-28. But we went 3 of 5 in predictions. Again, the score doesn't count as official prediction, but we went 3 of 5 on that. So 20, 40, 60. That's 60%. Like anything about, if I get about half or more right, like I'm happy with it. And then my final thoughts, last questions, just some general statements about certain players or certain positions, just some big picture thoughts coming out of this game and going into Miami 3 days from now. Like, does James Cook continue? This is a question I have burning in my mind right now. Does James Cook continue to have a workhorse role and stave off, not really Ty Johnson, but Ray Davis is RB2? Like, does Ray Davis get more than just 3 carries and 4 total touches? Or does James Cook get treated like a workhorse back last year where he got like 280 total touches? I think he's best in like the 200 to 220 range, and Ray Davis gets like 100 to 130 touches. But like, I'm wondering if he can stave off the whole season, or at least until midseason. Like, I'm very curious how this running back room shakes out. Like, is it a 1A, 1B? I highly doubt that right now. Is Ray Davis the clear number 2 even over Ty Johnson? I think they really like Ty Johnson. Will any Bills pass catcher, just another journalist question I have off the top of my head. Will any Bills pass catcher this year get over 1,000 yards receiving? If so, who? I was so gun-ho before the season started last week on my preview of like, I think Dalton Kincaid, not smash it, but like he'll have like 1,100 yards or like 1,050, 1,100 receiving yards, something like that. And then Khalil Shakir will get close with like 900, 950. Now I'm going to say, because the performance Dalton Kincaid just had, very slow start, 1 catch for 11 yards, again, only 2 targets, but nonetheless, 1 catch for 11 yards only is pretty slow, damn slow start. I'm going to say no. I think Dalton Kincaid will get to like 950, 980 receiving yards, and then Khalil Shakir, those are the 2 candidates. And then Khalil Shakir will get to 900, 950 as well. And then I think you can have multiple players like Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman get like 600, 700 receiving yards. But unfortunately, I don't think anyone would hit the 1,000 yard hold. What am I trying to say? 1,000 yard threshold. Curtis Samuel might get 1,000 total yards from scrimmage or team rushing and receiving combined, but I'm talking about like pure receiving yards. I think Dalton Kincaid will get very close. Khalil Shakir will also get very close. I just don't know like how much will those pass it by if they surpass it at all. I can't talk that if they surpass it at all. And then I didn't expect to be saying this, but like the tight end usage in this offense, mainly when Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox are on the field together and those 12 personnel starting 2 tight end sets, like still needs to be sorted out in my opinion. I don't like the 2 tight end sets, like the 12 personnel. I understand that's where the league is heading these days. I understand the Baltimore does it with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. I understand that the Steelers do it with Pratt Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, the Chiefs mainly with Travis Kelce, Noah Gray. Multiple teams are doing it these days. I don't really like it because it takes away from slot presence guys like Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, maybe throwing Ian Coleman for a few snaps a game here and there as a big slot. I don't like it, but I still want to see how the snaps shake out. We'll get to the snap counts at the end, which I had access to and were made available to me through some avenues. But yeah, I'm just kind of like not confused. I'm just very, very curious. I was kind of disappointed. Like, the 2 tight ends weren't really involved, and Kincaid was barely even involved. I see 2 targets, only 1 catch for 11 yards. If Von Miller, let's see here, what do I have written down? If Von Miller is truly back to his old self, or even close to it, which it looks like he's damn near close to it from already, is a situational pass rusher. I've already explained it all way earlier in this episode. Then like this defensive line is like has star power with Greg Rousseau and Von Miller. And Ed Oliver, hopefully, and then Daquan Jones. But it's deep. I like the rotational guys, Dwayne Carter, Austin Johnson, A.J. Epinesa, Dwan Smoot may be coming back, Javon Solomon may be coming back. And then Casey Johnson and Cameron Klein, those are roster caliber guys in this league as 5th or 6th designated pass rushers, like off the practice squad. I really like it. This could be pretty scary for other teams. Like, I'm licking my chops. They should be licking their chops right now going up against the Dolphins, very subpar, like, offensive line. Like, they have 1 or 2 bright spots. Maney. Wow. They have 1 or 2 bright spots, possibly, on the offensive line in total. Takeaways from offensive snap counts. This is what I'm doing in these recap shows. I'm implementing a couple new things this year. Number 1, I implemented the new one-word thing, which I used this game was an adventure in the beginning. And then takeaways from the snap counts, offensive and defensive respectively. Got a few bullets here. Dalton Kincaid playing 84% of snaps is pretty high for a team team that seemingly wants to run a lot of 2 tight end sets, 12 personnel sets. I agree with it. Like Dalton Kincaid needs to be 80% snap guy, 80% plus snap guy easily, and Dawson Knox maybe in that like 50 to 60 range per game, but like high 50s, low 60s maybe. I agree with it, but like I don't know. I thought that really interesting. I thought they wanted to balance it out more, but 84%, that's pretty high for a team that wants to run a lot of 2 tight end sets for Dalton Kincaid. And then Keon Coleman playing 73% of the snaps. I thought it was much more of a split between Coleman and Mac Hollins, respectively, but like as that true X receiver, but like he got a lot more work than Mac Hollins. Mac Hollins scored the touchdown that when he was in there. Keon Coleman, though, led the team. Like I'll say again, targets, catches, yards, pure production yesterday. Being Sunday. Obviously today's Monday, so that's why I'm here for the recap show. But 73% is pretty high for a rookie, especially in Sean McDermott's system. Like they're not wasting any time getting him out there, which I like. Curtis Samuel only playing 20% of the snaps feels really weird and odd. Like that feels really off to me, and it should to you too. Like that's kind of mysterious, if you will. Like that's kind of ominous. Like, is this a weekend anomaly or is this turf toe injury? Like, should he have not been out there at all? Like playing through it. If it's that serious, he probably shouldn't have been out there at all. Like, don't rush it. And then how is he going to be against the Dolphins? Like, he should like be easily like a 50 to 55%, maybe in 60% snap guy and sharing the ball around on jet sweeps. Like he got no handoffs today, which is weird for him. But 27% snaps is very odd for him. And then takeaways from defensive snap counts. I only have 2 here. Ed Oliver only playing 82% of the defensive snaps. I know he didn't do anything, but like he's got to be like 85 to 90%. Like you can't have him below that. Like 82%. Like how is there supposed to do anything with that? And Dwayne Carter only playing 11%. For comparison, Titans rookie played 35 total snaps. T'Vondre Sweat from Texas. Titans rookie defensive tackle T'Vondre Sweat played 36 total snaps. And like Dwayne Carter is over here playing like 7, 8 total snaps. And that equates to 11% of the defensive snaps. Like, what are we doing here? Like, he should be like 20 to 25 at least. Maybe pushing 30%. Like, I like the depth, but like, you have to use the depth. You've got to use Austin Johnson. Elianku, if you want to live him from the Packers squad. Mainly Dwayne Carter. You got to use like this isn't good enough. Like 82% for Ed Oliver and then 11% for rookie Dwayne Carter. I gave a rookie, but you got to figure out this friggin' defensive tackle rotation quick. Like I don't understand it. Like if you have really good depth, use the damn depth. I don't understand it. Anyways, guys, this was a jam-packed recap episode. I really appreciate you guys sticking around for this longer episode. These recap episodes, I go on a lot of tangents, and they're obviously longer than the previews. So. Lastly, before we get out of here for the day with this episode, you can follow me personally on Twitter at AWagner13. I love the NFL, love college football. Almost hitting 500 followers goal in there. Can't believe it, but you can follow the show on Twitter for any scheduling updates or just news in general, some podcast clips or whatnot at Around Slice on Twitter. And then you can follow me, of course, watch or listen to this podcast or listen to this podcast, on Apple, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast. Wherever you pod, it will be there, anywhere platform. And then lastly, I'll be ramping up my Patreon now that we're fully entrenched in the NFL season with power rankings, players of games, players of the week, on offensive and defensive, special teams maybe. I mean, that's going to be really exciting. So for just $3 a month, patreon.com/runtheslice. Again, $3 a month. Patreon.com/runtheslice. And lastly, I'm at 25 subscribers. My goal is 30 subscribers. Let's get to 30 by the time. I know this is a big ask, but I know you guys can do it. Loyal supporters of the Around the Slice and me, I really appreciate it. But 3 days from now, by the time 8:20 p.m., so by the time the Bills kick off against Miami Dolphins in Miami this Thursday night, I want to be at 30 subscribers. Just help me get there with 5 more. So anyways, guys, thank you for sticking around. Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to interact with you. Any points I missed, who was your big slice of the game, who was your burnt slice of the game. I'd love to interact. Anyways, I will see you in a couple days. Quick turnaround. So I will see you in a couple days for the Bills at Dolphins preview. Thank you and have a great day.